Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Nikki Starr, and today we're going to be talking about the importance of your emotions and how to use them constructively. So, one of the things that often happens in spiritual development and spirituality is people think that they need to not have any negative emotions. Well, the truth about emotions is that they are energy in motion. So, emotions happen in relation to life. It's like a reflection and it triggers some kind of response in you. And sometimes it can be in the spectrum of happy or good emotions, which good emotions is like a label, really. And then in the spectrum of what we might think like negative emotions. But the truth is, all emotions are important, which means anger is important too. And that's why there's this idea of like anger management. It doesn't mean that we shove the unhealthy emotions under the rug, and who really says they're unhealthy. So I want to really debunk that today. Like, there are no emotions that are unhealthy. They are all expressing for a reason, and they can change very quickly. So that's the thing about emotions, is they're transient, but they are telling you something. Like, when you feel an emotion, it's because it's information for you. So obviously it's clear when something happens and you feel happy, it's like, yay, good, right? That's like the obvious one. But let's talk about how to use anger constructively, because I have seen time and time again where people really, someone left a smiley face. Yeah, feel free to always, whenever I'm live, you can always ask questions in real time and I can answer them. So please feel free to do that. So what I find is that, especially when people are wanting to become spiritual, they're like, oh, I'm not supposed to be angry. I'm not supposed to feel this. I'm not supposed to feel that. But that's not really what being spiritual is. It's learning how to manage within yourself emotions that come up and use them constructively in your life to create a greater outcome in your relationships and what you create and do. So specifically with anger, it's serving because it helps you to create boundaries. It helps you to let you know, like, hey, something just happened that maybe it's not okay. Maybe there's a lack of respect happening. Maybe one of your values are not being met. So it is a signal like, hey, pay attention here. And then what you do with that anger will decide how spiritual you are or not. So something that is not constructive would be if you are angry to then yell at someone or hit someone, even in that matter. Like, that's like an extreme case, but that's one example. That would not be spiritual. That would not be good for your relationship. And that's just going against human respect and boundaries in and of itself. But let's say if something happens, and let's say if you had a meeting with a friend and you were supposed to meet for dinner and they show up an hour late, or better yet, they don't show up at all. And not better, but just to make the point, like, they don't even show up and they don't even call. You have every right to feel anger, right? Upset, sad, whatever you might feel. Oftentimes anger covers up over what you might be feeling as upset or hurt in some way. So know that also there's layers of emotions, and some happen first as like a protection mechanism. So that's letting you know what? That's not okay in my life to have a relationship where the person just stands me up. So you could take time to meditate, to be with that emotion and think, okay, so why do I feel angry? And then maybe you touch upon, okay, because for me in my relationships, it's really important that there is integrity and there is communication. So if someone can't make it, they call me. So what you can do is, after you've processed the emotion yourself, I don't recommend going to another person when you're hot and raging with the emotion, but rather to take your time to understand what it's telling you. And then from that space, when you have figured out, okay, this is why I'm upset, this is what's important to me, and this is what I want to communicate, then you go to the person and say, hey, like, I really want our friendship, our relationship to continue on. And it's important to me. And what's also important to me is communication. And if you cannot make it, please call me and let me know in advance. And please do your best to let me know as soon as possible. And you can begin to set new boundaries and standards in your life. Now, I do believe in giving second chances. I believe that people make mistakes and that people have a lapse of judgment, a lapse of sometimes they don't realize how important it is to you. And that's what relationships are. Relationships are learning to relate with each other. So maybe one friend doesn't really care if like you're late, but another friend may care about being on time because maybe their schedule is very packed back to back and they could be doing something constructively. Whereas the other person, maybe they have a lot of free time and they're just happy to be out at a restaurant and they don't care when you show up because they're just grateful to be there. So know that different people have different preferences and different things are important to different people. So your responsibility is to communicate what's important to you, and your emotions help you do that. And I'll just reiterate again, not in the heat of the emotion, especially if it's in the spectrum of what might be considered more of the negative emotions, but they're not negative. And that's the point of this video. Your emotions are not negative. All of your emotions matter. All of your emotions are valid. And it's simply the way you manage them and then how you constructively use them to create a better reality, to create a better relationship. So I hope that this video served you in the next time that you're in a situation and emotions arise. And I really invite you to have the courage to speak what's important to you with love and compassion and understanding that everyone is doing their best. I thank you all for being here. I thank you for the comments, and share this with a friend, maybe with someone who has been doing their best to manage their anger. Subscribe to the channel if you're not. And also feel free to always share any topics you'd like me to cover with you as well. So thank you for being here, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.